Marijuana is often portrayed as a harmless, natural substance, even a miracle drug with minimal risks. But this perception is dangerously misleading. While it's true that cannabis doesn't carry the same immediate lethality as opioids or stimulants, its long-term psychological, neurological, and social consequences make it one of the most insidiously dangerous drugs in existence. Unlike substances that cause obvious physical deterioration, marijuana's damage is often subtle, creeping into the mind over months or years, altering cognition, motivation, and emotional stability in ways many users don't recognize until it's too late. By the time the consequences become undeniable, addiction has often taken root and the brain's fundamental functioning has been rewired for dependency. One of the most critical factors in marijuana's danger is the astronomical rise in THC potency over the past few decades. In the 1970s, average cannabis contained around 1 to 3% THC, the psychoactive compound responsible for the high. Today, strains routinely exceed 20 to 30% THC, with concentrates like wax, shatter, and dabs pushing levels to 80 to 90%. This isn't the same plant our parents or grandparents might have experimented with. It's a highly engineered drug designed to maximize addictive potential. At these concentrations, THC overwhelms the brain's endocannabinoid system, disrupting normal neurotransmitter function and increasing the risk of psychosis, cognitive impairment, and dependency. The idea that marijuana is just weed is a relic of the past. Modern cannabis is a potent, unpredictable drug. THC doesn't just temporarily alter perception, it fundamentally changes how the brain communicates. The endocannabinoid system, which regulates mood, memory, appetite, and pain, is flooded with artificial cannabinoids when marijuana is consumed. Over time, the brain downregulates its own natural receptors, leading to dependence just to feel normal. Many argue that marijuana isn't addictive, but science says otherwise. Nearly 30% of users develop some degree of marijuana use disorder, with heavy users experiencing withdrawal symptoms like irritability, insomnia, anxiety, and depression when they stop. Unlike physical addictions such as heroin or alcohol, marijuana's dependency is primarily psychological, making it harder to recognize. The idea of marijuana as a gateway drug is often dismissed as outdated propaganda, but epidemiological research supports it. While not everyone who smokes weed moves on to harder substances, studies show that early cannabis use significantly increases the likelihood of experimenting with cocaine, opioids, or other illicit drugs. One reason is neurochemical. THC alters the brain's reward system, priming it to seek stronger highs. One of the most alarming dangers of modern marijuana is its link to psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia. High THC cannabis has been shown to trigger psychotic episodes in susceptible individuals, and long-term use can increase the risk of developing chronic psychosis. For those with a genetic predisposition, marijuana doesn't just worsen symptoms, it can actually activate latent mental illness. Marijuana's impact on cognition is one of its most devastating and underreported effects. Adolescents who use cannabis regularly show an average IQ drop of up to 8 points, a deficit that often persists even after quitting. Adult users aren't immune either. Chronic consumption impairs memory, attention, and executive function. A well-documented but rarely discussed effect of chronic marijuana use is amotivational syndrome, a state of apathy, lethargy, and lack of ambition. Unlike stimulants, which can create hyperproductivity followed by crashes, marijuana flattens motivation entirely. Users often abandon goals, neglect responsibilities, and lose interest in activities they once enjoyed. Many marijuana users believe that because it's natural, smoking weed is safer than tobacco. This is a dangerous misconception. Marijuana smoke contains many of the same carcinogens and tar as cigarette smoke, and because users typically inhale deeper and hold smoke longer, lung irritation can be worse. Chronic smokers often develop bronchitis, wheezing, and an increased risk of lung infections. Proponents of marijuana often tout its medical applications, but the reality is far more nuanced. While some patients benefit from CBD, a non-psychoactive compound for conditions like epilepsy, the widespread legalization of high THC medical marijuana has been exploited for recreational use. Many so-called medical users are simply seeking legal access to get high, not treat a legitimate illness. Marijuana doesn't just alter the individual, it reshapes their entire social world. Chronic users often find themselves withdrawing from family, friends, and meaningful relationships, preferring the solitary comfort of being high over genuine human connection. Conversations become superficial, emotional intimacy fades, and commitments are broken as the drug takes priority. Many marijuana users insist they drive better when high, but research tells a starkly different story. THC impairs motor coordination, slows reaction time, and distorts perception of speed and distance, all critical skills for safe driving. Unlike alcohol, where impairment correlates roughly with blood concentration, THC's effects are unpredictable. When pregnant women use marijuana, they're not just making choices for themselves, they're altering fetal brain development with potentially lifelong consequences. THC crosses the placental barrier, disrupting the endocannabinoid system that guides neural growth. Studies link prenatal cannabis exposure to lower birth weights, reduced attention spans, and increased aggression in children. The financial toll of chronic marijuana use extends far beyond the cost of the drug itself. Heavy users frequently experience declining work performance, missed deadlines, careless errors, and lack of initiative that stall careers. Industries from construction to tech report safety incidents and productivity losses linked to employee cannabis use, especially with the rise of all-day high-potency products. Even as legalization spreads, marijuana use carries serious legal risks that evade public discussion. Employers in safety-sensitive industries like aviation, healthcare, and transportation routinely fire workers for positive drug tests, regardless of state legality. Child custody battles increasingly hinge on marijuana use, with family courts viewing chronic consumption as evidence of parental unfitness. Modern marijuana legalization wasn't driven by grassroots activism. It was engineered by a profit-hungry industry, borrowing tactics from big tobacco. Cannabis companies aggressively target young users with candy-flavored edibles and social media campaigns featuring cartoon mascots. They fund misleading research, exaggerating medical benefits while downplaying addiction risks. The myth that marijuana isn't addictive collapses under the weight of withdrawal experiences reported by countless former users. Insomnia so severe it triggers hallucinations, night sweats that drench bedsheets, and anxiety attacks indistinguishable from clinical disorders. These are the hidden costs of dependence. Beyond biochemical effects, marijuana exacts a profound spiritual toll. Chronic users often describe a gradual loss of life's vividness. Passions fade, curiosity dims, and the world seems muffled under a perpetual haze. What begins as a tool for relaxation morphs into a barrier to authentic experience, numbing both pain and joy into bland neutrality. The common argument that alcohol is worse ignores critical distinctions. While alcohol's acute dangers, overdose, violence, are more immediately visible, marijuana's harms operate on longer timelines with stealthier mechanisms. Alcohol is metabolized within hours. THC lingers in fat cells for weeks, creating cumulative cognitive effects. Breaking free from marijuana dependency requires more than sheer willpower. It demands a comprehensive rewiring of habits, environments, and thought patterns. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, helps users identify and disrupt the automatic thoughts driving cravings. Support groups provide accountability from others who understand the struggle. Marijuana's danger lies not in dramatic overdoses, but in its quiet, persistent erosion of the mind's potential. It doesn't destroy lives in explosions, but in slow drips, stolen motivation, atrophied talents, and relationships hollowed out by the constant presence of the drug. Recognizing this isn't about fear-mongering, it's about honoring the incredible capacity of the human brain and protecting it from a substance that pretends to be a friend while acting as a thief. If you, or someone you love, is struggling, understand this. The fog can lift. Clarity is worth fighting for, and a life fully lived is the most powerful high there is.